Hello and welcome, Big Three, back at you. And it's Super Bowl week. The countdown is on at just 3 days from legendary Super Bowl take 2022. It's going to be a good one. The People's Super Bowl, Stafford and Shiesty from SoFi. But before we get into all of that, a crazy NBA trade deadline finish. Nate, who's this week's player of the week?
Well, I don't know if we're sticking to what we said earlier or what I want it to be, but I'll go with what we said earlier. It's got to be all the reporters, Shams, Woj, and Windhorst, especially Windhorst. He was the one who's been calling that Harden trade for the past, couple weeks now.
Yeah.
Finally became official, and he did a very good job on that report. So shout out to LeBron's biggest dick writer, and kicking it to Ion, LeBron's second biggest dick writer.
Okay.
This day in sports history.
Okay, you funny guy. All right. This day in sports history in 2002, the 51st NBA All-Star game at First Union Center, Philly. We got the West beating the East, MVP, the late Kobe Bryant. Best way to do it, best way to win an All-Star MVP in his hometown of Philadelphia. Speaking of Philadelphia, we got a lot that went on today, but you know what? What should I do? I'm going to hop right to that. So Kobe Bryant was this day in sports history, but I'm going to hop. Speaking of Philly, we got to talk. So they finally get rid of Bitch Simmons, send him over to Brooklyn for Brooklyn Simmons now. And now they have James Harden. What was it? James Harden. Did LaMarcus Aldridge get traded?
No. James
Millsap.
Harden and Paul Millsap for Seth Curry,
Millsap, yeah.
Drummond, Simmons, and a 2027 first.
I legitimately think that the Nets won this trade, but it was beneficial for both teams.
I think it was a very beneficial trade for both teams. Pretty for a blockbuster. I think will end up pretty fair. Daryl Morey obviously loves James Harden, so he gave up pretty much everything for him on that team except Embiid. I think it's gonna be a fun team, like very defensive minded, I guess. And then Harden and Embiid, like Maxey and Thibault will both be.
Wait, no. It's very defensive minded, and then it's James Harden.
And then you just toss in Harden there. You have four good defenders, and then Harden can sort of just stand in this corner and shoot threes.
Yeah.
No, I really like Philly's starting lineup now. You're kind of looking at a rotation, including Harden and Embiid, obviously, but then you got Tobias Harris as a third. Maxey, Thibault, Danny Green, if he gets hot, can get you a lot of points. So it's just they got a pretty strong the roster. I think depth could come into play here. They traded away some depth guys like Seth Curry, like Andre Drummond was getting some backup minutes there. He'll be going over to Brooklyn. So I think they'll have to get a little bit more out of Embiid than what they've been getting out of him right now in order
that is really tough
run into the playoffs.
What?
Which is
How
really
can you get more out of him than he already has?
I think you're gonna.
Finally, you need to get less out of him. He doesn't have to play every minute of every game and be taking shots down the stretch.
Actually, no, he does
who's
have
now
to be
backup big? Who's now backup big?
He's got no depth.
They got no depth at the five.
Who do they have to back him up? Paul Millsap's a power forward, and he's bum now because he's old. Cantor got traded to Houston and then cut? No, I don't know what I'm saying. Cut?
Yeah, Cantor
and his freedom, and he was on the Celtics.
Oh,
yeah, dude.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm thinking of completely different.
Charles Bassey is listed as the only other center on the team.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. So you're gonna have to have Embiid maybe playing a little bit longer than you want him to. Maybe you'll be forced to go a little into some small ball rotations. We'll see how Doc Rivers can adapt to that. But I just want to say, I think Kyrie Irving's so lame. I think it's a pussy move for him to leave Brooklyn a year after getting traded there after begging to leave Houston. I think it's so lame.
Yeah, man, it's so lame that Kyrie Irving was on the Celtics and then Brooklyn. I'm just kidding. Yeah, James Harden. You mean? Yeah.
Well, you could have given it at least a playoff run. Another playoff run.
Nate, he's mocking you because you said Kyrie Irving instead of James Harden.
Oh, duh. Okay.
You couldn't
I didn't
tell?
realize that. I didn't realize that. No.
There's no way you couldn't
Okay,
tell.
okay. But I like this move for Ben Simmons because everyone was saying either put him in a
Yeah.
small market like Minnesota, which I wouldn't have hated. But now he's just the third option. He can play the 4, play defense, take 3 shots a game, and everyone will be happy.
Okay. I like the trade for the Nets more. I think they have a lot more depth now. I think Seth Curry putting in the starting lineup as a shooter at shooting guard would be
Yes.
actually very beneficial for the team. A great option for the kick out. You got 2 attackers at KD and Kyrie. You got a good solid center at LaMarcus Aldridge. Hopefully, injury aside and everything, he'd be solid there. But I really like the trade for the Nets more than I did for Philly. Philly, we know, has had a history of fumbling the bag with their stars, or their stars fumbling the bag. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily going to happen, but I think that the Nets would have a better chance of making it out of the East than Philly does. But then again, I still. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I'll let you finish what you were saying because I kind of wanted to jump back to something you said earlier. I love Seth Curry in Brooklyn reuniting with his backcourt partner at Duke and Kyrie Irving. I see him replacing Joe Harris, but at least replicating Joe Harris's role as Harris has been out since November. I think it's a great fit for him. He'll be able to shine under the bright lights. I mean, he was playing like a number 2 scoring option in Philly. And I think some of that will be lifted off of his shoulders. He'll be able to, shoot a little. He'll be able to, there will be a little bit less asked of him, but he'll still be able to put up high volume as a shot shooter.
I definitely think that it's just a good option in general for the team. Because the Nets need to focus now more on building their team, and they did with this trade deadline. They got more depth than Philly does right now, in my opinion. But yeah, out of like Philly and the Nets making out, I'd see the Nets making it out of the East. But then again, that's just between the 2 of them. If it's like the entire East, nobody's stopping the Bucks, which. And I also did want to talk about. Actually, wait, go ahead, Nate, if you were gonna say anything.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think I think Brooklyn maybe also took a bit of an L on the day, and the fact that they couldn't trade the first round picks that they got from that deal. I mean, Brooklyn's very clearly in a win now scenario.
Yeah, they need the picks. It's 2027. That's in so long.
No, but isn't there a 2022 first? Philly's 2022.
Actually,
yeah,
I know.
Isn't there?
I think they traded that for James Harden or Kyrie Irving during summer offseason.
Brooklyn doesn't have a first, right?
I don't know.
No, I'm saying
I know 100%.
I'm saying Philly gave Brooklyn the first.
Yeah. They gave it in 2027 for sure. I'm not sure about 2022.
Yeah, the Nets will get the Sixers 2022 first round pick unprotected with a right to defer until 2023. They weren't able to offload that for a role player, which is kind of disappointing if you're Brooklyn in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I think Brooklyn still won this trade.
I think Brooklyn won the trade, especially because of the role pieces in the pick.
Yeah, I think Drummond's a great backup big for them, and I think Seth Curry is going to do well. I think Ben Simmons should do well. I mean, obviously a little less spacing now for the team, but I think he's a better fit than Harden, considering how similar Harden and Kyrie are as ball dominant players.
Has Ben Simmons even been practicing? Because I've never seen him.
I don't know. I think Rich.
Technically,
Paul,
he's been working out by himself or whatever.
Rich Paul said they're gonna have to work him back into, playing with teams and stuff. So that will take some time, and I don't know if Steve Nash is the coach to do that. But
Nash is not that kind of coach.
Exactly.
Ben needs to be able to do something on his own except cry and whine.
I think Ben Simmons needs a disciplined guy, a hard,
Teron
harsh guy. Yeah, like a Tyronn Lue or something like that.
Tyronn Lue
Bobby
is
Knight
not harsh,
style.
bro. Come on now. He got bitched by LeBron, and LeBron was a player of his. Come on now. I'd say someone like Pop or fucking Phil Jackson.
Yeah, Pop would be.
You
I
want to
think
bring
Pop
back
is a
Phil
great-
Jackson?
I'm
to
not
play for this
saying we
next
bring
team.
back Phil Jackson. I'm saying someone like Pop or Phil Jackson.
Yeah, I think Pop's a great comparison.
Yeah.
Because the players love him, but he's also
Mark
you know,
Jackson.
tough
Now
love.
there's an interesting take.
Shut up.
That's one way to lose the locker room.
Bringing Mark Jackson.
I also want to talk about I mean, I don't know. Did the Warriors make any moves? 'Cause I
No.
haven't-
No,
Lakers
did not.
Lakers didn't make
What are
any
your
moves.
thoughts
Okay,
on
yeah,
that?
I wanted to get to that. So here's the thing. There is no thing. We haven't, we're so bad right now. I'm pretty sure the Lakers are 26-30, 26-31. I mean, after like everything, I thought they would trade Russell Westbrook. But if they're only looking for buyouts now, I don't know. I mean, they're the 9 seed in the play-in.
But you're still gonna make it out of the play-in, and it's like no one wants to play the Lakers in the first round. Really.
If Russell Westbrook is playing, I
If
think they got a
Anthony Davis
shot.
starts playing like not terribly, LeBron, he'll turn it up into gear.
Dude, he's turned it up into gear. He's averaging
Yeah,
27.
no, actually,
He's already,
LeBron's
no,
averaging
but
like
that's the scary
36.
thing. That's the scary thing for me. LeBron's basically already in playoff mode because that's what he has to do to keep the team in playoffs.
I
He's
can't
gonna
believe
run out
that.
of. I feel like he's gonna have to run out. of
Anthony
gas at
Davis
some point.
deserves a lot more hate. He
Yes,
has
he
not
does.
been what
He's
they've traded
so
for.
bad.
He's
He
not bad.
does.
He's just not what they gave up.
Nah, dude, he's bad. The last game, we lost to what was it? The
He
Trailblazers.
took 2 shots in the fourth quarter.
No, he
Yeah,
took
okay,
0
and
shots in the
that's
fourth
another-
quarter.
That's
Oh,
another
yeah.
big story. That's another big story from the trade deadline. Is the Blazers? They basically said, "Hey, we're tanking with Damian Lillard, one of the best point guards in the league on
yeah.
the roster."
They're not
That's such a
tanking.
big story to me.
They're not tanking. They're just salary dumping so they can sign him in the offseason.
Re-sign Dame. Is that how much trouble they were in financially? They had to trade away their
It's
second guy. and a
they
bunch
have
of
they,
other
they
dudes.
start with one of the lowest payrolls this year. They're not making anything anyway because Dame's injured.
I think that it's. I've seen so many memes about Dame, man. I've seen someone's like, "Let's go! I didn't run from the grind," and they're like down 40 points. Like I've seen so much against Dame. There's a lot of Dame slander these days,
Cut Russell Westbrook, sign Dame
bro.
this offseason.
That would be something. All right. Speaking of
The
Russ and all
Kings
that,
actually that's the last story.
Damian, everything that I've heard from Damian Lillard just has me thinking he's gonna retire ringless.
dude, that would suck. So
It would
bad.
suck. It's a shame because he
would-
deserves
wouldn't.
one
He
more
can
than
make
the
his own
majority of
decisions.
guys in the league.
I'm gonna go with Old Faithful here. This is all Stephen Curry's fault, and the Warriors'
Classic.
fault. Classic.
Blame
movie.
everything
ruiner that
because
guy.
we've won 3 and 5. Okay, I see how it is.
Kiss my
I see
ass,
how
Nate.
it is.
You guys cock blocked like the entire league. Remember the Rock? Okay, wait. The Rockets, the Blazers. You had Memphis, who was good for like a season or two.
Pelicans.
Pelicans weren't gonna make it out anyways.
Mm.
They weren't gonna win a finals.
But really, the Rockets.
You're
and
taking a
Blazers,
championship
I think,
away
are the
from
clear
Yusuf
one.
Nurkic, and that's just a terrible thing. Okay, one more thing. NBA trade deadline. Kings in classic Kings fashion.
Oh,
Just
that
an
was messed up.
atrocious deadline. Atrocious.
That was
They-
Well,
really
you know,
messed up.
They
So,
ship out the
their first
entire
game-
future for Sabonis, who they then spell his name, or then Woj spells his name wrong, has a stroke on Twitter, says Domantas Sabonis, Jeremy Lamb, and Jeremy Lamb. That was the worst tweet of all
Bro, it was a
time.
hard day for him. All right.
Then he
I-
misreported a story after that. It's a tough Wednesday.
Yeah, Shams was carrying, but I think that
Well, Shams has always been. I feel like Shams been carrying the NBA trade. free
But
agency
Shams
sort
sits
of
back
thing
and he
for a
doesn't
year, couple
misreport
years
things,
now.
but he's not always the first. Very
Yeah.
consistent that
yeah,
way.
but he's the most accurate.
True.
Accuracy
That's
is
the
better
most
than
important thing.
speed. And I think that for Sacramento, I hope that Halliburton comes back and drops like 50.
Oh, I thought you meant he hopes he comes back in the offseason.
No, he would
Oh,
never come
no.
back now. Sacramento treated him like garbage and he liked being there and they tossed him away. I hope he drops 50 on
He
them.
should sign with
I
the
think in
Lakers.
general, it's just a bad mood for Sacramento because they lost any defense that they had by trading guys like Marvin Bagley and
Bagley, you just clear the spot
Halliburton.
for Sabonis.
but
Bagley was,
Sabonis doesn't have any defense. The Aaron Fox can't play defense.
yeah, he
I mean,
can, but
this-
he,
Fast on 2K though, so that's what matters.
De'Aaron Fox is so much fun to use on 2K. But anyways,
Oh.
I think that's all we got for NBA. Anyone else want to add anything?
I mean,
I hate the
couple
Warriors.
other notable deals. I just want to point out. Wizards.
No one
were
cares about
pretty
Porzingis.
busy.
You don't care about your white
I care
players.
about this. I think this is a mid.
I wonder why.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my god! No way. We're straight bullying the dude now. Come on.
we got Porzingis to the Wizards for Spencer Dinwiddie. I like Dinwiddie and Doncic.
Dude,
Dallas.
how does Mark Cuban repay Luka Doncic carrying the team with Spencer Dinwiddie?
Also, I thought this would mean they would trade Jalen Brunson because I want to see him get more minutes. He's now just like the fifth option. I'm
Bro,
ready.
Spencer Dinwiddie has been openly mocked by the teammates of by the Wizards players. The Wizards players called him a shell of his former self. How are the Mavericks gonna do any good with Spencer, man? And they gave away a pretty solid option at the big man. I mean, come on.
And then Carroll went from Washington to Charlotte. Charlotte looking to make a move, looking to maybe make a little playoff push, looking to go to the second round. We'll see if that's possible, if LaMelo can do that. But let's go right into the main event of this weekend. That is, of course, the biggest game of the year, and that is the Super Bowl played in Inglewood, California at the beautiful SoFi Stadium. Rams Bengals. It came down to two.
Real question is, will the Rams fans travel all that way to see their?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of
Beautiful.
it's really sad that they have to play it in Levi's South, so it's kind of brutal to have to play in a division rival stadium.
Clearly should
but-
have been Jaquiski Tart, and I thought of that too late until just now, but classically funny.
Yeah, I mean, let's kind of recap. We took the week off last week, just because nothing was going on. But let's just kind of recap those championship games. I mean, they were two great ones. They were two very fun to watch.
Oh man, those were okay. So, do you guys want to? Do you guys want to start with the Rams game first? Because I
Sure.
think the Bengals one was a lot more entertaining. So we can have that afterwards. But the Rams
Yeah.
game, that was a good game.
It was tough.
crazy.
It wasn't a great game. It was
I-
a close game.
I thought it was pretty good. I liked how defensive the game was. I also well, it wasn't okay. It wasn't as good defense as it was bad offense by the Niners, but it was good defense by the Niners also. At the same time,
But
to keep
that's
the
what you're gonna.
Rams-
That I think that's the main takeaway from the Niners playoff run is this year is that that defense is just so damn good that it was able, like, that defense and Deebo Samuel was able to carry this team led by Jimmy Garoppolo to the conference championship and like basically a drive away from the Super Bowl.
I felt really bad for Debo after that game. You saw him on
Yeah.
the bench crying.
Yeah.
That's awful. He put the team on his back like the entire season. It was insane. Also,
I was one of the
Hey,
most.
quick
that has
question:
to be
now
one
that
of
the
the most
Niners season's
impressive-
over,
Yeah.
before, let's say at the end of that game, who do you think deserved a head coaching spot more? Your defensive coordinator or Mike McDaniels? I don't know what his name is.
I think.
Does Mike
I think-
McDaniels really deserve a starting coaching job?
it's not
Yes,
even his
he's an
name.
He's very smart. I think both
McDonald's,
of them
maybe?
deserve head coaching jobs, but the reason why that D'Amico didn't get one is because he didn't want one. He wanted to stay in San Francisco for another year.
Should have been Jim Harbaugh deserved.
He
the
would
job.
have. He would have gotten hired by Minnesota if he went to that second interview. I like many reporters have said that he was their number one guy.
Actually, I thought their whole thing was they wanted an offensive coordinator or offensive.
No, they were very high on Ryan's.
I actually want to talk about so when I was on a live chat with one of my friends who's a 49ers fan, or our group chat, and on the final drive for the Niners, right? We all know how that ended. He says, "All right, time to start with this Jimmy G legacy drive." Isn't it so fitting that he says that and the legacy drive ends with
Yes.
a pick?
Yeah.
And that too,
but
it wasn't even a normal throw. He got hit and he threw it like that. What? All right, it's Trey Lance.
I think Jimmy, it's definitely Trey Lance season. The question, I mean, we'll I'm assuming we'll get into this in a little bit later on, but like, where does Jimmy G end up? What's that going to look like for the Niners? That's a whole conversation, but I mean, it was very impressive showing from I think the Rams offense, even though they were pretty contained by that Niners defense, to still score 20 points on that defense is very impressive.
Dude, yeah, I mean,
so fair plays for the Rams.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, it's Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, OBJ. You can't expect them to not be able to score 20 at least.
Yeah.
If they were
That's
to
valid.
if the Niners kept them under 10, the Niners would have been the best defense like ever. Because the Rams offense is so dynamic, which is what I'll be getting into when we talk Super Bowl. But do you guys want to switch over to the Bengals game now? Because
Let's go over to the Bengals Chiefs game, because that one was just who would have thought that the Chiefs would be a team to choke a 20 how big was the lead?
It was 21-3.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a pretty satisfying. Okay. It was satisfying
so
win.
satisfying to watch, dude. Oh my God.
Joe Burrow really handled the adversity, in my opinion, because we all know the Bengals O-line is not good. He's been hit. He's been the quarterback who's been hit the most this season. And the fact that he was able to play still pretty darn well. Jamar Chase is an absolute beast, in my opinion. And I think that Kansas City I don't know. How does Mahomes throw like
No.
that?
I mean, this was the first time in his career that I've seen Mahomes rattled. And I blame Eric Bieniemy. I'm the biggest. I maybe like Eric Bieniemy too much, and I've said I want him to be hired as a head coach. And I've given him a lot of credit for when this offense does well. They established the run so well with Jerick McKinnon in the first quarter of that game. He was averaging like 7.5 yards per carry in the first half, and they just completely went away from it in the second half.
Yes.
Mahomes was in the gun. He threw one interception, wasn't his fault. One was.
Yeah.
And then the third one was sort of like, it was like third down and 17.
That was on him, man. Like
the third one in overtime?
Yeah.
No, I think he's just talking about the game. Oh.
I think that him throwing into that double coverage.
It's third down and 17. You have to go to Super Bowl somehow.
Dude, he's got to find a better way to do it than that. And that too, he was in the pocket for so long. The scramble was useless for him, or the scramble out of the pocket was useless for him, and then he throws it into double coverage.
You can't say the scramble out of the pocket was useless, and how could he be in the pocket?
I'm not saying.
He was forced out in seconds.
What I mean is, it was useless because there's still he still almost got sacked. He got hit on the throw. He definitely
seems like it's on his offensive line.
He definitely looked rattled, but I still think that I'm standing by this. I think that he lost in the playoffs because of his family.
I don't.
I think that's a stupid take, guys.
I think it's because Eric Bieniemy's play script sort of fell apart.
I think I just want to say that the Chiefs offense in the first half, like in that first quarter into the early second quarter, that was probably the most impressive they've ever looked. They were moving with ease.
You want to know who
Mahomes
I made
that
Eric
first
Bieniemy's
touchdown,
opening game script is insane.
Yeah.
The opening touchdown pass from Mahomes to Tyreek, where it's just like the full-on sidearm on the run. Like, dude, how
it was a laser.
That?
It was a laser.
It was a dime. And they were running the ball. They had all aspects. They were hitting so many deep passes. The Bengals secondary didn't know what to do. And yet they still couldn't win that game. I don't know. I still don't understand how they choked that.
Just a week away from the Biggies, Eli Apple's putting on a run for Con of the Year. I'm not gonna lie.
Kieran, you and I said it, right? Was it? No, I think it might have been with a different half Indian, half white guy who knows a lot about sports. I think we said take away, if the Bengals win the Super Bowl, you take away Eli Apple's ring and you give it to Cooper Kupp or Matthew Stafford or Donald, one of the three.
You don't, because they didn't win the Super Bowl and Eli Apple did.
This is still an Eli Apple hate podcast.
Yeah, I'm not a big Eli Apple guy myself. Okay, let's move on to the real game that matters. The Super Bowl. What are our thoughts on it? We'll end with a score prediction and MVP prediction. I'll start with my thoughts, Ben. The Rams can't beat themselves. If Stafford just makes smart decisions. Okay, actually, the game starts in the trenches. And I thought about it, like, this might be the worst matchup for the Bengals in the trenches. The Bengals, like, have a bottom 3 offensive line in the entire league. And the Rams have the best.
They have Aaron Donald also. The Rams have Aaron Donald coming after the Bengals.
I mean, Joe Burrow has to be a magic man every single. I feel like we could see what we saw in last year's Super Bowl, where the Chiefs' offensive line was just dominated by the Buccaneers. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that again.
That
This
would
is a
really
more
suck.
lopsided matchup in the trenches than that one was.
There's 2 different ways that this game can go. Joe Shiesty plays absolutely dynamic, out of his mind,
He's
while
still
getting
gets, like,
pressured.
5 times in a game where he plays out of his mind.
While getting pressured. I say if he plays like super dynamic, everything works out. Jamar goes crazy that game. The Rams still win it.
On Ramsey. Goes crazy on Ramsey.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
so difficult in
But the
itself.
Rams still win it. Because think about it. Even if the Bengals offense was to somehow get past this Rams defense with Aaron Donald coming at Joe Burrow and Jalen Ramsey going at Jamar Chase, they will not be able to handle the Rams offense. They just
Eli
won't.
Apple's
Okay, that's
guarding
where
who?
that's
Odell,
where I
right?
Yeah, probably. That's where
Odell's
I
going
think
for
you're
like
going.
150.
That's where I think you're a little wrong. I think the Bengals defense is one of the most underrated in the league. You got Trey Hendrickson, who probably should have been a Pro Bowler, and you could have made it a
He-
decent argument for him being an All-Pro second team or something like that.
He
Very,
was
very
not that
good.
Not that good.
Very, very good defensive end. Plays hard, plays tough. I really like how he plays.
They're still missing Ogunjobi, I think.
Still missing Ogunjobi, which is a big mess, but we saw how everyone else on that defensive
Missing
line stepped up
Uzomah.
in the second half. Uzomah's off. That's offense. I'll get back to that later. But you have one of the best slot corners in the league, in Mike Hilton, who has consistently made plays in the playoffs. You got probably one of, I'd say, a top 3
10
safety
dropping
duo.
150 yards on him.
I think you have a top 3 safety duo in the league, and
That's-
Von Bell and Jesse Bates.
Jesse
I
Bates
think that's
is
a
good.
very,
Von
very
Bell is fine.
He's made some plays when they've needed him to. This is an underrated Bengals unit, and I think I think the Rams offense can just beat itself up sometimes. I think
The
sometimes
game is won and
they
lost
don't
in
do
the
well.
trenches, and they are such a huge advantage on both sides of the trenches.
Yeah. But I think my biggest key to victory, I think if the Rams lose this game, it's because they beat themselves. It's because Sean McVay gets too cocky and makes stupid play calls. 'Cause he's done that before.
Or like too conservative, which we've seen at like weird times from him this season.
Yes. I think Sean McVay could easily lose this game
I
for
think,
the Rams.
but I think that has to be. I think for the Rams to lose, it has to be very situational.
What
It
do you
has to
mean?
be-
and not necessarily.
Yeah, it does. You guys talking about McVay being either conservative or too cocky. You're talking
Okay,
about
in their last 2 of 4 games, they choked the second half lead that was like double digits. That's not situational. That's happened
I
like
thought the
2 out of
Niners
the
had a
last 4
double
games.
digit second half lead.
No, I'm talking about week 18 where they choked the double digits.
You're talking about
Oh,
regular
and
season.
I'm talking
regular
about
season,
I'm talking
regular
about
season.
divisional round
Doesn't matter.
playoffs. I'm talking
Shawnee
about
Mack
divisional
steps
round
up in the
playoffs.
postseason. Do you see the video of him naming all his plays? My
Did
God.
you see
I
the
think it's-
2018 Super Bowl when they lost like by
Yeah, he
double
got
Did you
digits?
outcoached
see
by
when they
Belichick.
whooped
He's
the
not getting
Niners'
outcoached by
ass
goddamn
last
Zach
week?
Taylor.
Okay, well that's something interesting because Zach Taylor is a disciple of McVay. I think he was the first coach to come from the McVay coaching tree. That should be a little fun. We'll see how well they.
The
can match
game
up
is
against
won
each
and
other, how they
lost in
go.
the trenches. That's all I have to say. And we know who wins in the trenches.
Yeah.
The Rams. Aaron
They do.
Donald.
But the Bengals have lost. I'd say the Bengals have lost every single game in the playoffs in the trenches, and they still win.
But they're
They
not gonna
still
beat
find a
the
way to
Bills.
win. They find a way.
Okay, Nate. Just prediction time. Yeah. Do you have anything more to
Yeah.
say?
Yeah.
Ion?
My.
Okay,
I
I got
okay,
nothing
one
more to
thing
say.
I do want to say.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, you go first. I have a couple more things I want to
He
say.
has
I'll let
nothing
you
more to say.
start it
Oh
off.
no, I got nothing more to analyze, man.
Okay, I got a couple more things I want to mention. I think a big thing for Cincinnati will be to establish the run game with Mixon. One of the main reasons why the Niners lost in the Rams game was because they couldn't establish the run that made them so strong. If the Bengals can establish the run, that's at least one side of the offense you got going. Mixon's has been very good for them this year. He's had a pretty decent playoffs. So if they can get that going, and then I think the Rams, I think another big thing is that which player besides Kupp and OBJ will step up. I feel like a lot of the Bengals' attention will be on those two. So if you can have a guy like Cam Akers or Sony Michel step up in the backfield, or if you can have Kendrick Bland, who had a great game against the Niners and the Buccaneers, if you can have him continue his hot streak, play well.
And Van Jefferson, always a reliable wide receiver 3. He'll get a couple catches. I think I counter the Bengals have to establish the run game. The Rams have to establish the run game. The Chiefs did it so well. They just have to do it throughout all 4 quarters, not just the first 2.
And I do like the Rams run game a lot more than the Chiefs. I will say that. So if they can get that going, then you're looking good.
Michelle Akers is a nasty too.
And you got a great offensive line, Whitworth. I think
Joe Noteboom doesn't even start, and that guy's a menace.
Yeah. So
okay, Ion, we'll start with you. Score prediction.
All right.
An MVP.
Okay, so before we get into it, I wanted to ask. I have like 2 different scenarios.
You only get one.
Okay, so I only get one. Rams win it 35-32.
Oh, I wonder how are we getting that 32?
Okay. I think that what's going to happen is that there's going to be 3 touchdowns. It's going to go to 21, right? The 12 points there are going to come from one more touchdown, a field goal. I think they're going to get a safety.
Super Bowl safeties.
I think that is going to happen.
We saw it in the Ravens Super Bowl. We saw it in the Giants Super Bowl. We saw it in the Broncos Super Bowl.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it can happen.
And who's your MVP of said Rams victory?
I mean, I gotta go with Stafford.
Okay.
Or actually, you know what? I'll make it Aaron Donald.
I like that.
I will go next. I think sort of like a full Indian, half Indian, no Indian. Go down the list situation. The Los Angeles Rams win 32-28, but it's not an easy 28. It's touchdown. That's 14. Then 2 Evan McPherson field goals. That's 20. Then late in the 4th, they're down 31-20. Stafford leads a drive. They get it. They go for 2. They're back within 3. And then the Rams just run out the clock. 31-28.
All right. I must be the odd one out.
Aaron Donald wins MVP, obviously.
I must be the odd one out because you guys are going with the brains. You're going with the clear favorite here in my eyes. I think the Rams are the clear favorite on paper, but the Bengals have been doubted the entire season. They have been counted out and they've proven everybody wrong time and time again. I knew when Joe Burrow was drafted that he'd win a Super Bowl. He has that energy. He has that success. He's he's the baddest man on the planet. And I think he gets it done in his second year after an ACL surgery, after winning a college national championship in the Heisman 3 years ago. I think he gets it done and wins a Super Bowl. 31-27, Bengals win by 4, and Shiesty gets MVP.
Huge.
It's gonna be a great game, though. It's gonna be
insane.
A very good game. I think this is a very fun matchup. Both teams not really having to deal with a lot of injuries. I think there's a couple on both sides, but nothing major that's really going to distract from
both starting tight ends. Actually,
yeah, that's interesting. So we'll see.
Uzomah and how do we pronounce his name? I think it's CJ Uzomah.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know, dude's a beast. That's
Uzomah. All I know is that he's injured and he's not going to play, or he's going to play like 10% and re-injure himself.
Yeah.
Emotional leader of that offense, some say. Every mic'd up game, he's the one in like the huddle in the tunnel. So
Yeah, they obviously did fine without him in the Chiefs game.
true. Okay. For Ion Shaw, Nate Martin, we'll see how these predictions turn out next week. Thank you for listening.